Let's bring in Dr. Kayode Opeifa, a transport and logistics consultant who is also a trained analytical chemist, part of the reason why we have him here. Thank you so much for joining us on NewsNight tonight. Well, so much has been heard about, Nigeria's spec, the international specification and all of that. And I'm wondering, what exactly is Nigeria's spec? And can the Nnpc escape liability? Because we're hearing from them that they did not cover inspection of the level of methanol.
Okay, thank you very much. I think having listened to all the various analyses from the National Assembly to Nnpc, GMD, Group Managing Director, to MRDEB, to MRS, and based on what has been published and comment from the public, I think everybody is saying the same thing. And this issue has to be scientifically investigated. We have to get to what actually happened. Everybody has said the same thing, that the methanol content in the petrol is more than expected. Now, they've also said one thing that, as a chemist, is very crucial. They said the Nigeria test request does not include tests for methanol, because methanol is supposed to be non-present. So while testing, the people testing will follow a standard operating procedure. They have a manual what to test, and there is a strict rules what to test, and they will record it. When you meet those conditions, they will say pass, put a check mark.
Yes.
And that goes for many products. Now, if that is what the test requires, you may not detect some of these adulteration.
You may not go looking for
you may
methanol.
not go looking for it.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the point they're making. And we need to really understand that. However, nobody had said something untowards from Nnpc, MRDEB, all of them. They've all pointed to the fact that the product, the issue was detected, the product was isolated, quarantined, and those in transit were withdrawn, and they have replaced the market with quantity. But the supply chain and logistic distribution system is still affected.
All right.
Now, this is what you will expect in this kind of situation. The first thing is to isolate. You quarantine whatever it is for testing. Then you remove everything in circulation. Then investigation will start. And that is the stage I believe we should first be concerned, so that we don't have damages beyond what we've had. And to that effect, as somebody in the transport sector, somebody with an analytical chemistry background, I think so far, for the public, that is adequate. The product is withdrawn. Now we'll now go to the next stage of what, how
did
and
it
who.
happen?
And that's a different issue.
That's why everyone wants to go to. The petrol supply had 20% methanol as against 2 to 3%. How could that have happened? That's the question most people want to find out. The president has issued the CEO of NMDPR query. NMPC, of course, we heard him apologize. But is that enough for this? I don't know whether to call it incompetence or fraud. I don't know.
For me, those are non-issue for me to describe. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
We have a regulatory agency. In this case, we have about two. You have the Nigeria midstream and downstream. Then you also have the Federal Competition Consumer Protection Agency. The two of them have issued statements. You see, we need to be procedural in handling this. It's not a matter of, vehicles are damaged, things are done, but it's not a matter of emotion. This is something that has to be handled so that you get to the question, the answer to the question, how did it happen? So the midstream is a new organization, had issued a statement, and they itemized the process, and they've done the needful as of this time: isolate, quarantine, and restore. They've done that.
But you have a situation.
Consumer Protection Agency had done what is expected. That's what, and they've listed that they are currently discussing with the stakeholders, gathering information to get to the some conclusions, and all this will form part of the scientific and other legal investigation that will come back for the general public as of this moment, is to make sure that that product is no longer in the market.
But the challenge now is it's not the first time that tainted or toxic fuel or dirty petrol will be finding its way into these shores. And I refer back to a report, a 2020 report, that shows that petrol sold to Nigeria from Europe is dirtier than what you get from the so-called
Yeah, sorry, as a scientist, I will tell you that's not from a journal, it's from a newspaper. I want to believe it's correct.
No, it's not from a newspaper. It's from
a journal.
An expert
Okay,
group
now, let me
that actually carried out this.
This is what you have. Different countries have different grades.
Okay.
And different specs.
Is Nigeria the same level with those?
Even US, China, Australia, they are not the same spec. Then some countries have different methanol levels. Nigeria, I believe, is 0%. I think US is about 2.7%. Some countries have, the maximum you get is about 5%. Some countries have 3%, China and the rest of them. And then some engines require different percentages. If you buy fuel, for example, you see octane level 85, 95, 75, and they say for different vehicles and different bits. In Nigeria, we have a straitjacket. The issue in 1997 was sulfur. In 2008, I think it was methanol, just like we have now.
Methanol.
I can't remember what it was, if we have any in 2020. Maybe it was a discourse. Now, different countries have different specs, but there is a minimum standard.
All right.
So that minimum standard is what Nnpc is saying, that this particular fuel does not meet the Nigerian standard. They've accepted that fact. And the next thing is, I believe they've tested that it is 20% methanol, which is not contained in the list of certificates of analysis expected for Nigerian fuel. That is where, it is not unusual to miss it in chemical analysis. Okay. It is not unusual to have product defects.
What could be responsible for that?
So many things. For example, you have heard of car recalls, airbag recalls, when it has even got into the market. Sometimes it has got into accident. So the important thing for people in the safety area is to make sure the appropriate protocol is used to create
the
safety.
letter.
Before we let you go, now, I mean, let's even come to the brass tacks. All this talk about unusable fuel with high quantity of methanol will not even arise if Nigeria was refining its crude. Is it not a huge shame that we are even importing fuel?
That's another issue entirely.
Yes,
I agree with you. However, even if you manufacture your own fuel, you may still have outlier, a particular batch. That's why every product is batched, and every product is documented and countersigned, verified. Now, when you have this kind of situation, what I think is good news here, out of the bad situation, is that it was detected early enough. It was withdrawn within the limited time, and the fuel supply chain is gradually coming back to normal. Then the next issue will now be what happened. How did it happen? But that should not take us. That should also not take away the fact that there is some level of a quick response in getting it out of. I remember in 1997 and 2008. It wasn't this.
All right, we'll have to leave it there because of time. Thank you so much, Dr. Kayode Opeifa, Transport and Logistics Consultant. I'm a trained analytical chemist, for your analysis.